is coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're mine. They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Demon here watching us right now? Watching us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
And good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's having a good night. Thank you, James.
This week's show is going to be interesting because, once again, it's old boy's pick. No idea what he's going to talk about, but we'll find out. So without further ado, old boy, go ahead, brother.
So I'm the one who chose this show tonight, whatever you want to call it. So I want to hear your comments because I know people are going to give their opinions, and I'm not going to care because we usually don't. That's why people get mad about us, because we speak the truth, and they don't like to hear that. A lot of people don't like to hear that. Truth hurts sometimes. But thank you guys for joining another great action-packed week of Staring into the Abyss. So I've been thinking about the show I was going to do. And this is the one I'm going to do. And I've been thinking about it, and I think it's a good idea, guys. So I hope you guys like the idea that I have, because I'm trying to do something different. We've been doing paranormal for so long in all kinds of different stuff. We don't just do paranormal. We do crypto. We do conspiracies, aliens, history, dark history, like bad things that happen, mysteries, conspiracy theories, all kinds of cool stuff. We can do anything, really. Diseases, ways to survive, alien apocalypse, zombie apocalypse, everything we've talked about on the show. So you guys pretty much followed us for years. You know who we are if you're new. I'm old boy from Staring into the Abyss. James Hershey Jr. is my co-host from Staring into the Abyss, famous international horror author. I also have 2 books myself. We also have a group called Tales of the Abyss. It's the paranormal part, investigating, and we also do crypto. We don't charge people. We have a group in Pennsylvania/Virginia and in here in California. I run this group. James runs the other one. Tales from the Abyss, West Coast and East Coast. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this is where the show is going to be going in a minute, because I'm going to say something that people have been asking me, and so I decided, hey, I'm going to do a show about it. It'd probably be a good idea, instead of me rambling. And this is just my opinion. The question was asked, why does people doubt the paranormal, crypto, have a lot of problems with conspiracy theories? And I can answer all these in a minute, and I'll tell you my opinion in a minute, too. Do I believe in cryptozoology? Yes. Ghosts? Yes, I do. Demons? Yes, I do. Shadow people? Yes, I do. Aliens? Yes, I do. Conspiracy theories? 40% of them, maybe 50 if you're pushing it. Half of them are too much. What's my opinion? Do I think that people just say things because they want to look different to other people? I think that's a little bit of it. I think people are also scared of knowing the truth. Like with aliens, they're pretty much admitting they're real. Too much stuff's coming out now. Too many videos. It's impossible, guys, to be the only planet with all these solar systems and other planets and stuff to have any kind of life. It's mathematically impossible. I don't care. You can believe whatever you want. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you because I know there's somebody going to say hey, aliens are evil. They're not. That in any kind of religion, it doesn't talk about aliens at all. Maybe a little bit in the Bible, but I think that's what people can confused. And other religions have it too, but I think aliens are real. I think it will change things, and I think that's why they're hiding it, because it will change a lot of people's opinions, change their faith and their belief. And I don't think people can handle that. I don't think that, I'm not saying everyone, some people believe, like me and James, I believe this. And this isn't in a shot at any religions. I'm just saying this is the truth. It will change things. People will be pissed that this thing's real, and it changes their opinion on everything. And people can't make money then. Because in the end, money speaks a lot. The truth can be always swept under the ground. Most people like hearing a beautiful lie than knowing the ugly truth. And that's just always been what I've said. I've said that in the past before. So I'm saying it again. Just some people can't handle the truth. They wouldn't be able to deal with it if they knew the truth. And I'm going to tell you something. Once you start finding out the truth, it could be scary. And the show's going to be about why people don't believe, or they're so against the paranormal field or the cryptozoology field, and they don't believe in any of it. Why? And what my opinion is, and that's what the show is going to be. I'm doing a little part of it and explain it to you guys so you guys know right off the bat, because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. And I'm not the best. James is usually one that runs the he does the beginning and I'll do the ending and say my opinions. And sometimes I'll do this because it's better off, because you guys get to hear me and hear my point of views more than just, hey, James, yeah, this is my opinion. Not going to do this. Sometimes we're going to do some stuff with me, and that's just the way it goes. And we love you guys. The beards. People are loving the beards, man. It's starting to grow out there, guys. But back to what I was saying, sorry. Again, I think a lot of it's fear and ignorance. And it's not people's fault. You're raised a certain way. You're taught certain things, and you're going to be the way you are. But the problem I have with that is you're not opening your mind. You're thinking one way, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem I have is you attack people. You attack people right off the bat. You say it's not real with no evidence. You're just saying it because you think right off the bat it's not real. You can't prove it. And this is with atheists too. They don't believe in anything. And I'm sorry, that's fine. But you know what? My opinion is on that. Come with me to do a paranormal investigation. And you'll see what the spirit box isn't talking by itself. It's not, it says stuff. It's not me. I'm talking to it, but I'm not making it talk. It does it on itself. So things happen, and I think what it is with people, they don't want to know the truth because they're scared of it. They're scared to know there's really demons, and there's really ghosts, and there's spirits, and there's all kinds of stuff. And then there's the religious who thinks everything's evil, and it's not. I'm sorry, that's, I don't care what you, that's fine. I'm not going to sit here, because James is a Christian, he believes the same thing. Not everything's evil. Not everything's a demon. We've already talked about this. And that's fine. You believe it, that's your business. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I deal with this for 15, 20. I've been doing ghost hunting for about off and on for 10 or 11 years. And I've been in the paranormal since I was a kid. So you believe whatever you want. And I know somebody's going to try to argue this, but hey, you know what? That's your opinion. I don't care. You're welcome to it, guys. That's fine. We always want to hear your content and what your beliefs are and what you think. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to complain or try to make anybody look stupid or dumb. I'm just trying to tell the truth. There's some people who don't like hearing that. And I understand that you're going to have your opinions just like I'm going to have mine. Remember that. So some of my opinions are, I think people are scared of the truth. And I just think people are just plain ignorant. They just want to argue, or they just think something doesn't believe. And then they don't care if you have evidence or not. Again, it could come into your house tap dancing in front of them and they wouldn't care. Bigfoot could. And that's the problem with a lot of this. And then you have the people who want to be famous, or who fake that they're seeing ghosts. They're really not, or they just want to get famous, or they have the thrill of trying to mess with something evil, or they have the intent to meet something evil so they can get some kind of power or whatever they believe in, or they can get some kind of, rich, famous, money. It's what a lot of people do stuff for, is because that's what they're worried about in life. And the sad thing is, a lot of people are like that. Can't just say anybody. They just don't care. They'll do anything to get money because they don't want to make it in a real way. They want to, it's too long of a wait. There's probably no chance you're going to happen in their mind. So they're just going to do what they want. Screw being honest. I'm just showing an example. It isn't us. Instead of being honest, they're going to lie about it and say they see all this stuff when they don't. Or I think that's what the problem is too. And I think people, they assume that we're also trying to make money and that's all we care about. We're not. I'm really trying to help people. And I do like doing this stuff. I like the adrenaline I get. That's just me. I'm different than a lot of people. I don't know about you, but I'm different. So that's just how I am. And if some people who don't believe in anything, but that's your business. But if you're just straight out saying something just to argue or just to say you're right, no one knows anything. There's stuff that you see and are taught. You don't know if it's 100% true either. It could have been exaggerated. It could be the telephone. I tell you one thing and it changes to something else. The next person changes that and something else to it. History, whatever you want to say, things have happened. Yes, we all know that. But we don't know 100% fact. No one knows. Just like I'm not going to sit here and say there's no God. Or there's no Buddha. Or there's no Muhammad. I don't know. I can't say there isn't. I choose, I don't believe that, but that's my opinion. But it doesn't mean that anybody's wrong. It's just, you have your opinions and I have mine. But at least I'm open to listen to people's opinions. And not go, oh, that's evil, or oh, no, I hate you because I believe this way. That's the problem with a lot of people. They're closed-minded. And that's what goes on with this thing. People think it's fake, or there's people lying, and people are so against it. And some people think it's evil. Some people think it's just for money or show. And some of them is a little right on some people. There is some people out there who are faking and just doing this for money. And some people are doing it just to get on TV. They're not worried about helping anybody. They just want to be on TV. And I get that point. And there's some people who do anything to be famous. They'll, especially with cryptozoology, people fake Bigfoot all the time. I believe that. I believe about 75% of the videos out there are fake, or even 80. But I believe there's 20% the real. I believe they existed and they still do. I don't care what anybody tells me or said. I've seen it. I've seen one years ago. I know people are going to think I'm crazy. I think I've seen something. I don't know. It's 10 feet tall and runs through the forest like it did. I used to go to Oregon a lot. I used to go to the Sierras. And I thought I've seen something. I can't say it's 100% fact. And I know people are going to argue and say we're wrong and we don't know what we're talking about. We're just doing it, this and that. You know what? I don't care. I'm just saying my opinion. The crypto is real. Not everything. Trust me. There's stuff that people are just going too far. And it's just folklore and trying to get people to bed. I believe some of that too. And a conspiracy theory, I don't even want to get into this. You know what? I'll go a little bit on this. Dude, conspiracies are getting out of hand. Like, it's on everything, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Don't matter where I go, there's some kind of, bull crap out there. I don't care what side you're on, it's probably not fact. It's probably, some of the stuff we've seen, we've checked it out, most of it's fake. People are, okay, look. For some reason, I guess, the paranormal and monsters and Antarctica, and I want to do a show about Antarctica. I want to do a show about eventually, because there's a lot of stuff and there's a lot of shows, and this is going to get opened up to another show down the line. It always does, because honestly, the show I wanted to do is why do women and men, not some, but why do women and men have such a fascination with serial killers? Why are they so popular? That was going to be the show, and that will be a show for the next time, and that's another show that's coming down the line. But just that's the way my mind thinks. I was like, but I started thinking about this the last couple of days, and I'm like, let's do this show. Because this is such a big topic, especially conspiracy theories. Please do your research Don't listen to Instagram, Facebook, or anything. Please don't look at Wikipedia. Please do research that's not biased. Just because you want to believe it because somebody says it, it doesn't mean it's true. I think a lot of people just want to have some fact that, oh, that's got to be true because they said it. People can say anything and most people will believe it. They could show a video. They can make it look, like I said, remember reality and fiction. People can, and I see it. People think, oh, well, the government does this and the government fixed the moon landing. The government does all this. The problem is you live in fear. Some people in their religion's not supposed to be feared, and they have plenty of it. It's pretty sad, and it's with everything. It isn't just this. There's a lot of fear altogether, and it's sad. But I guess that's human. There's a lot of people who fear the truth. They don't want to know it. It don't matter if it's true or not. They'll make up a lie and pretend it's not there. And there's people like that. I've seen it. I've seen people write comments, even, oh God, I just want to make sure that aliens doesn't exist because I just want to keep on going through life that they don't exist. Even though they do, and you probably believe they do, you don't want to believe it because you want to hide in a safer world. But just remember, you're a pebble in a giant ocean. And what's people going to mean that? Go look at the universe. It's like a giant ocean, the universe, and we're a little pebble, the earth, with giant stones and rocks. Like, there's plenty. I think Jupiter's bigger than us. I don't want to get it mixed up. I think Mars is smaller, and Venus and Jupiter are bigger, I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. But they're huge, some of these planets, I think. And we could fit like a pebble in some of them. And the sun's huge. And it's still like a little ball in a giant ocean. Think about that. You're on a giant rock that spins in circular motion constantly. Anything could happen. A asteroid could hit and end us all. No one would ever know. They're not going to tell you to the last minute. Or they'll try to shoot it down first. They've already been practicing that. But if they can't, we're done. I'm not saying everyone, but majority of people are gone. What would you do? Nothing. Nothing you can do. Nothing. Because there's nothing you can do. That's reality. Just like with all this other crap that people are listening to, most of it isn't. And it's sad that people are just getting to that. They just want to believe in anything now, too. That's the other thing. People just want to believe in anything. And sometimes it's not even there, and they just want to believe it anyway. So that's what a lot of people think, too. That they just want something to be there, and it may not exist. I'm just saying this was a great show because I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, there's a lot of people who believe in a lot of different things. And maybe that we need to talk about some of these things that people believe in or don't believe in. And why do people don't believe in certain things? Because I think a lot of it's fear. And just that they don't want to believe it. And there's a big possibility they could exist. All this stuff could exist, guys. And there's a possibility. I'm not going to say that it's impossible. None of it is. Now Ghost, it's 100%. I'm sorry. I dealt with it. I see it myself. Aliens, I can't prove it 100%. I can say 95%, 98% actually. I'm going to say 98%. Bigfoot, it's 70. The giant octopus exists. The Megalodon is about a 95% chance it still exists. It's real. Loch Ness Monster's 50-50. The Chupacabra's probably 35, 40. I think it's just something else. It's been misdiagnosed, like wrong thing. I just think it's something else. I'll tell you a story. I live in the high desert in Victorville, and something used to chase me. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was huge. It laid in a debt. You could see where it laid. It was bigger than me. And I was a teenager. And I remember one time this thing chased me. One time another time we were walking and it cleared a 6.5-foot fence. Caught the top of the fence. We saw it run past. One time we were with our family, 2 different times I was with people in a car. And we saw something that looked like a lion's head on 2 legs running across the field. Then I saw something that looked like a lion with a weird looking shaped body run across from us. Yet, we didn't know what the hell it was. It was crazy. It was probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So that's just my opinion, what I think. I think this is stuff that a lot of people should understand, that if you don't know something, please go and look it up instead of being lazy and just assuming things don't exist or they do or they don't. Please investigate it. Do your own research. Not biased either. Do something outside the box and actually look it up. And do research. Go to a library. Don't just look up everything up online. Look up backlogs of stuff that's happened. With aliens, with anything you believe in. Any conspiracy theory you think. Especially with the Nephilim thing. I've been seeing that a lot. You know, whatever you want to believe, fine, I don't care. That's another conspiracy thing that's going around, that there's stuff in Antarctica. There's all kinds of stuff going on. The guy who we did a show about that disappeared, he showed the Nephilim on the mountain in Calgary, I think it was, and then he disappeared because he kept showing videos of the same thing with different results, like a plane flying down and the military, an alien flying up and down, and then he disappeared. He had the people with the black cars chasing after him. And then he was dead in some weird area. He was found dead. The guy was never truly anything of this. He just happily recorded it, and he kept going and didn't listen to what he was told. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you shouldn't get involved in stuff you shouldn't know about. And that's how it goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Tell us what you think. Always leave your comments. We would love to hear what your feedback is about this show. I just decided to do it. It just sounded like a good idea, guys. Not trying to offend anybody, just telling the truth how it is. So leave what you guys think and tell us what your opinions are. And we would like to hear them. No arguing, please. But there you go, brother. There you go, James. Thank you.
So the question is, why don't people believe in the paranormal? I believe that's a question old boy was asking. To me, that's a fairly simple answer to give. But we can go down a lot of interesting little paths on this one. The reason people don't believe in the paranormal, like most people, is because they don't understand the paranormal. It's as simple as that. And it's not condescending to say that. I'm not poking fun at anybody or trying to be rude. Remember that science is magic to people who don't understand it. So if you went back in time and you had a fully charged cell phone and you had some videos saved on that cell phone and you went up into a medieval village and you pulled out your little cell phone and you started playing those videos on a cell phone, those people would freak out. They'd have no idea what the hell was going on. They would think you're some kind of wizard that trapped people inside of a box, which is your phone. They would think something like that because they would have no way to understand the technology that you possess. They don't understand it. Therefore, to them, it's magic. Same thing kind of happens with the paranormal. People don't understand psychics. They don't understand mediums. They don't understand ghosts. They don't understand a lot of this stuff. They look at it as spooky stories. It's campfire tales. It's BS. It's make-believe. But what people don't realize is that it is science. It's absolutely science. A paranormal investigation is much like a scientific investigation. That's exactly what it is. It is part science because you form a hypothesis and you conduct experiments through trying to communicate to get data, which is your answers, in order to test whether your hypothesis was true or whether you need to form another hypothesis. Same principle. And it is also part investigation. So in a way, you're almost like a detective as well because you're trying to figure these clues out. Okay, I'll give you a great example of what I mean when I say that the paranormal is science. So if you have a radio in your living room, you have access to all kinds of different frequencies. You can pick up frequencies from hundreds of different stations, but you're only tuned to one of those frequencies. Okay, you can pick up all kinds of frequencies on a radio, only tuned to one. In that same living room, you also have the wave functions of a lot of different particles in different configurations. You have the wave functions of particles of universes that dinosaurs still exist. You have universes that Elvis is still alive, even some where the Earth was never even formed. Now, these wave functions can all exist in your living room simultaneously, but you can only focus or tune in on one frequency. That one frequency we call reality. Now, this is where Newton and Einstein depart. Okay? Newton would say that there's only one frequency on that radio because that's all you can tune into, so there's only one frequency on that radio. But quantum theory of Einstein states that there's not just one frequency, there's an infinite number of frequencies. And you can calculate the probability that you can move in between universes. Do what's called the WKB approximation. It's a tunneling effect. But you would have to wait longer than the entire lifetime of the universe in order to meet Elvis. But it can be done, theoretically, according to the math. So in one sense, that means that your loved ones, people that have passed away, that were once alive and are now gone, are technically still alive. They still exist. Because remember, energy never dies, it just changes form. So they're still around. They still exist. They're just vibrating at a different frequency. And we are now decoupled from them. We can't pick up that frequency. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. Because we have people that are able to communicate, able to tune in to that frequency, where those people now reside. We have equipment that is able to be manipulated by those spirits in order to communicate with us and form words and all that kind of stuff. So where it gets interesting is with psychic mediums, for example, is there something in their mind that allows them to tune into that frequency? Is it like some sort of super antenna, so to speak, in their mind that allows them to recouple and to tune into that frequency and be able to communicate and hear those people and see things they shouldn't be able to see? Is that what's going on there? It's a very interesting idea. Is the various pieces of equipment that we use, different types of spirit boxes, phasma boxes, Ouija boards, EVP, all that stuff, where we're able to capture the voices of these spirits and able to actually communicate with them. Do those devices somehow allow us to tune into that frequency? See, this dips into not only quantum theory by Einstein, it also dips into the multiverse theory. Because remember, I said you had the wave function of particles from all different kinds of universes. They're all around us. I gave a couple of silly examples. Dinosaurs still existing, Elvis being alive, Earth never formed. But in all reality, there's an infinite number of multiverses. So there's a multiverse for just about everything, where different things exist. As long as, now this is important, as long as it still follows the fundamental laws of physics. Those are the laws that are going to govern every one of these multiverses. But for every decision you make, a new universe is created. Okay? That's amazing. That's interesting stuff. And we can track back almost to the point of the creation of our universe. It's like 380,000 years after the Big Bang is it where they're able to go. Now, they can get to within like a trillionth of a second of the Big Bang if the right things happen, right? They're not there yet, but they're close to being able to do that. But as of now, they can get like 380,000 years from the Big Bang. And the reason they have that number is because before that, it was just too opaque for light to go through and to be able to properly observe what's going on. Think of it like those old mob movies and stuff, and the mobster movies where they all had that scene where they go into like the spa or whatever, and there's like that steam bath going on, and you can't see really in front of your face. Or imagine like a horror movie where you're walking through a deep fog. That's what it's like. So light can't penetrate that very well, because at the moment of the Big Bang, you've got everything, all the mass in the universe blossoming out and expanding to form our known universe, right? Which is like a bubble almost. It's blowing up. But in the beginning, all that crap, look, here's, boom, see? This is up to 380,000 years right there. At this point, you can't see me no more, because all this crap's in the way. But once it starts to expand out, all of a sudden the picture clears up and you can see me again. That's what the limitation is. But through like the collider, the Hadron Collider, and through studying with string theory, studying the different particles, right? Because string theory basically is saying that it's a study of a bunch of different particles that are on these little tiny strings inside of atoms. And there's a bunch of different ones. I'm going to really simplify this because it would take the whole show to go into string theory properly, so I'm not going to do that. And probably you guys don't want to hear it. But basically there's these little strings. The particles are the notes on the strings, and you extrapolate up from that. Okay, it's a whole cool explanation. Maybe one day I'll go through it and really, really explain string theory well. But basically it's just trying to study and define gravity, and it's just kind of the way they're doing it. Einstein wanted to have a theory of everything that governed everything, and string theory is kind of the last piece of that puzzle that they're working on now. Some people say it's real, some people say it's not. The math definitely works, so, who knows? We'll find out eventually. See, that's the thing people don't understand about science as well, is it's not all absolutes. Science is constantly evolving, constantly questioning, constantly changing the theories. And people are taught in school, and I think that's one of the failures of our school system. They're taught that science is concrete. When you're taught something, that's what it is, and there's no change in it. That's not science, man. That is not science. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. You're forming a hypothesis based on information and math, usually with physics, and then you have to see where that takes you, and you just follow the facts, man, and it'll change as you go. These facts will still stay the same because the math is still the same, but it'll lead you to different places that you never thought you'd go, which is a super interesting thing. But all of that ties in to the paranormal. You've got something called quantum entanglement, which is so cool. It's when a particle here is entangled with a particle here. You can't see that because I'm off camera. A particle here is entangled with a particle here. Okay? Now, point A could be Earth. Point B might be a planet that is orbiting around a star in a neighboring galaxy that far away. But for whatever reason, they are quantumly entangled. Their particles are entangled. And if you change the particle here on Earth, the one that it's entangled to changes as well, even though they're separated by all that distance. And it's crazy. It's a weird thing, and nobody quite understands why some of this stuff happens. And that's part of the fun of it. So you have a lot of interesting stuff like that in science that is creative and is paranormal. It's not normal. It's definitely weird. and it's definitely spooky science, you know? And people don't understand that. And like when you're dealing with, I'll get off of spirits. I did spirits. Let's go with like crypto, because old boy mentioned crypto too. Cryptozoology is nothing more than biology. You are trying to find, prove the existence of, and study unknown species of animal. That's all it is. Okay, and I'll give you examples that prove it. Silverback gorilla in the Congo was a mythical creature. That was a creature that everybody said didn't exist. There was a lot of folklore about it in the native tribes. A lot of people talked about it and said this thing is real. We've seen it. All the quote-unquote experts, the people that supposedly know everything, said this thing doesn't exist. It's BS. It's all folklore by stupid people who are uneducated and backwards ass jungle people, and they don't know what they're talking about. And then we found it. So now we know it exists. We've seen it. We probably fed it a banana. Okay? We know the thing exists. And now we're studying it. So that's something that went from the realm of cryptozoology to regular zoology and biology, simply because we actually found it. Now you might say, well, cool, but it's a gorilla, man. It's not that, we're talking about crazy creatures. That's a gorilla, man. Okay. What about the kraken, the giant squid? Something that they had stories of going throughout time, of different folklore and mythologies and all these old sea stories about sea monsters, giant squids that would show up and take down entire boats. Pretty awesome, pretty unbelievable, pretty cool stuff, right? The things of legends, folklore. Till we found them. We know they exist now. We've got them on camera. We've literally watched them swim around from an underwater submersible. So it exists. It went from cryptozoology to regular zoology and biology. And now we study them. What is the difference between the silverback gorilla, which was thought to not exist, and a Sasquatch? What's the difference? Bigfoot's no different. It is a bipedal primate that has a ton of folklore and eyewitness accounts of, but that regular science doesn't acknowledge is real. Until we find one. There is historical evidence of Bigfoot. There is even an ancient hominoid species called Gigantopithecus, which coexisted with man in the early times. Back when Neanderthal and all that was running around. That we know absolutely existed, and it matches the description of Bigfoot to a T. Why can't there still be some of those running around? A small number around the world that live in the remote wilderness that people don't go very often. Why is that so difficult to believe? It's no different than the silverback gorilla. A limited number of these things that live in the remote jungles where people aren't very often. And the people that are close to it know that it's real and it exists. They say, we see it all the time. What are you talking about? It doesn't exist. There's no difference. And one day we will have one. And one day it'll be proven that they exist. And people will just conveniently forget that they called people who said it existed crazy for years. Nessie. Same thing. You got Nessie, you got Champ, you got a bunch of these lake monsters that are all essentially the same thing. They look like a plesiosaur. I don't know if they are a plesiosaur or not, but they look like one. They look like a dinosaur that has stayed alive. Now that's not out of the realm of possibility. There are tons of species on Earth that were alive when dinosaurs were alive. A lot of the sharks were here. Alligators and crocodiles were here. There are a lot of animals that existed in the form they're in now at that time.
of the dinosaurs that are still here. So if they all survived, why couldn't a small number of a breeding population of a dinosaur such as a plesiosaur have survived? Especially when a plesiosaur can live in salt water and fresh water. A plesiosaur can live out in the ocean where it's so hard to find the things. So how do we know? We haven't explored all of the ocean. There's a bunch of the ocean we have never even explored. So how do we know that they're not out there? You've got a lot of eyewitness accounts of it. We know that, take Loch Ness for example, we know Loch Ness has a bunch of water systems that lead to it. Underwater caves and tunnels that are full of water that lead all the way out. You can trace it on a map all the way back out to the ocean. So there's no reason why these things couldn't be living in the ocean normally, coming into the loch to mate or lay their eggs or however it works, and then go right back out to the ocean again. So we have sightings of them in the loch. We've had sightings of them out near the ocean. It makes sense to me. There are a lot of animals that migrate in order to spawn or in order to mate. Most famously, salmon. Hell, that makes up most of a grizzly bear's diet every year. To get ready for hibernation is salmon. They swim all that way upstream just to lay their eggs and spawn, and then they die. So it's not something that is unheard of in nature for that to happen. So why is it so hard to believe? It's just science, man. Not all science is correct all the time. We learned the scientific method back in high school, man. Some of us middle school. I learned it in middle school. Where you form a hypothesis, you come up with an experiment in order to prove or disprove that hypothesis. You do the experiment. If the experiment is successful and proves your hypothesis, then you repeat it. If it's still successful, then you pass it on to other scientists to repeat it. If that thing is repeatable over and over and over again, then you know you got a true thing. If it's not, right, if it fails when you try to experiment on it, okay, it failed. So what have I learned from that? Let me change the hypothesis and start over again. So science is full of failure. Science is full of being wrong. Remember, science at one time thought the earth was flat. Science at one time thought that sickness was caused by something called humors inside the body, and that if you bled somebody, you could get rid of those humors and they would get well. That's what killed George Washington, the father of our country, is his doctors bleeding him over and over and over again when he was sick. And he ended up dying. That's not a long time ago, guys. That's not ancient Rome. That's not back in ancient Greece. That's not in the time of Plato when he's talking about Atlantis. That's George Washington, man. That's a couple hundred years ago. They were still doing it. Science is wrong all the time. All the time. That's part of it. That's part of the process. I mean, we were taught way, way back the whole history of our view of ourselves in the universe. We were taught that at first man thought Earth was the center of everything. And then they kind of figured out what the sun was and how it worked. And they said, oh, okay, well, everything doesn't revolve around Earth. I guess everything revolves around the sun in the universe. Okay, that's good science. Awesome, yay! But then they figured out, wait a minute. This is just one solar system in a giant galaxy. Crap, okay, well, maybe the galaxy is the center of everything. Everything revolves around our galaxy. Oh, no, wait a minute. That means there's something outside the galaxy. Oh, we just invented better telescopes. We got radio telescopes now because of World War II. Well, now we can see outside. There's a lot of these galaxies, aren't there? Crap. Okay. So everything is a universe. Okay. That's the new limit. But now the math has showed us that that's not the limit at all. There's multiple universes. There's new universes being born every day, which is kind of cool. You know, it's like I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this, to give you a visual of it so you can kind of picture it for some of you that find this stuff a little bit harder to understand and to picture in your mind. Have you ever taken a bubble bath? I love a good bubble bath. I love laying in a bubble bath, or used to when I was younger. Now I'm too damn big. I'm 6'5", 300 pounds. I'm not a fat guy. I'm just a big guy. I'm a big, scary, I look like a giant pro wrestler kind of guy. I'm big. So for me to get in a tub and lay down is impossible. I can't do it. I'm too big. I'm too tall. Either I'm sitting up in the tub and my legs are straight and my back is against the wall and I can't move, or I can lay down to where my head is against the tub and my back is in the water, but my legs are way up off the wall of the tub. I can't get comfortable. But imagine a bubble bath, okay? Taking a bubble bath. You look around you at all the different bubbles. There's new bubbles being formed. There's bubbles that are popping. There's bubbles that are bumping into each other and exploding, right? That's a good illustration of what reality is actually like, according to the math. There's new universes being created every second. And they're constantly colliding and dying out, exploding, dying out. You have stars that are created, and they burn, man. They burn that nuclear fuel hot and furiously, and it's brilliant and beautiful to see, and they put off light, but then they spend all that fuel, and it dies. And it implodes upon itself and forms a black hole that sucks everything back in. It's a beautiful, beautiful process. You got universes expanding and contracting and being formed and dying off and bumping into each other and colliding. It's a mess out there, man. And we've gone a long way from Earth. It's the center of the entire universe, and everything revolves around us. We went a long way from the world is flat, and if you go too far, you'll fall off the edge. Now, you do have some people, some of those special kind of people. You know what I'm talking about. The ones that aren't quite right. Their elevator don't go to the top floor. They're not the sharpest tool in the shed. They're kind of dummies. They believe that the universe doesn't exist. They believe that the world that we live on is flat. And that you really can fall off the edge of it. They believe that the celestial bodies they see in the night sky, all the stars, the sun, the moon, which are all perfectly round, are somehow not real. That they're lights that are put up there or something. It's crazy. I did a whole episode. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You will love it. It's very sciencey, where I prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the world is not flat. I go through the science on every one of these BS things that these people are saying and prove them wrong with science on every single one of them. It's called, I think, the Flat Earth Theory or something like that. Fact or Fiction. It's here on the channel. You can find it on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. Go to the playlist and look for the Staring Into the Abyss playlist, and it's in that. It's a really, really cool show. You'll really like it. I prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're full of crap. But you got people that still believe that stuff, and that's the problem, I've kind of transitioned now from ghost to crypto to conspiracy theory, which is another thing that old boy talked about. With conspiracy, you have a couple different kinds of conspiracy. You have the wacko, stupid ones, like the world is flat, where any moron can understand that that's not true. So the people that you're dealing with that are saying that are dumb people. They don't, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but that's the truth. They can't understand simple, basic science to believe something that ridiculous. Okay? But then you have people that believe in other conspiracies that have to do with the government and stuff like that. And whether you like it or not, you got to admit some of those are true. A lot of those are true, actually. Most of them have been proven to be true. The government did do a mind control program. The government is involved in weather modification. The government did try to create human-animal chimeras. The government did fake an attack at the Gulf of Tonkin to get us into the Vietnam War. There's a lot of things this government has done that were conspiracy theories that now we have the documentation that prove that they actually did it, and it's true. So with conspiracy, it's a mixed bag. A lot of that stuff is true. A lot of that stuff can be proven. But the problem is you have these wacko idiot conspiracies that screw it up. So what the powers that be do is they'll take the wacko idiot conspiracy and say, are you going to listen to these people? They believe the world is flat. And you're over here going, no. I didn't say the world is flat. No. What I'm saying is this thing. No. You're saying that the world is flat and frogs are gay and you're just full of the crap. You're a dumb person and we shouldn't listen to you. That's what they do. They make you look crazy and they make you look stupid. And they take the very intelligent thing that you're saying that can be proven, right? And they say, no, they're saying the world is flat. They're saying the world is hollow, and inside of it lives lizard people that'll come out and eat your brains. They're saying that the president of the United States is a lizard person. They're saying this, they're saying that. They will take the extreme silly ones and they will pretend that that's what we all believe. And that's not true. But that's how they do it. And then the person that is unaware, they don't know, they're ignorant of the situation, they believe that crap. Because they don't know the difference. Some of the stuff that you say that's 100% true sounds crazy. Until you look at the documentation and you see. If you say that the government did experiments to try to create human-animal chimeras, super soldiers with genetic material from animals and human beings, that sounds crazy. That sounds like you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, baby. That sounds like you ought to have the old straitjacket on and be in a rubber room. Except there's CIA documents that prove it. Not only did we do it, Russia did it as well. We were both experimenting. In the German concentration camps during World War II, Mengele was doing all kinds. They were doing all kinds of experiments on those people. Trying to create super soldiers, trying to do all kinds of weird things. The Japanese were doing the same thing in World War II. It's all documented. It's all proven. You can get the documents and look at them yourself. But if you say it and you don't know that those documents exist, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? Now, I'm sensing a common thread here. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Remember what I said earlier in the very beginning of the show. Science is magic to those who don't understand. Same principle here. A conspiracy theory is crazy for those that don't know the information. Because it sounds insane until you can prove it. If I was to tell you that the government is capable of modifying the weather, of strengthening storms and making them into superstorms to do a lot of devastation on people, of making it rain when it's not raining, you would say that's BS, man. That's nuts. Until you have the documentation, until you realize that China is doing just that. They're modifying the weather when they had the Olympics over there in order that it didn't rain during the Olympics. They were modifying the weather and seeding the clouds to make it rain for their crops. And screwing over the neighboring countries because what normally would have rained there is it moved through and gathered up moisture, and once it reached a certain saturation point, the rain falls. Instead of falling here over this country when it gets saturated enough, it's now falling here because they seeded it. Here's the border. So they're not getting the rain over here. They're just getting the rain here. You see what I'm saying? That's all real. If you don't believe me, go to the old Google machine and look it up. You can find many, many different articles from reputable sources talking about China manipulating the weather. That stuff's real. Okay, so a lot of these conspiracies are real, and they've been proven. But they lump them in with the silly, dumb stuff, and that's how they get you. So that being said, I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy, get his shout-outs, and then I will be back to wrap up. Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You guys can always follow us on Staring into the Abyss on YouTube. James Hershey's YouTube page. Just go ahead and follow it. You guys like listening to the shows, go to Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 12 a.m. The best of Tuesday nights, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. You guys want merchandise? James will tell you where to go. You can get shirts, COVID masks, pillows, I think beanies like this. Not like this. This is a beanie that you have to buy especially. But, you know, stuff like that. And iPhone cases, all kinds of cool stuff. So check it out, guys. I hope you have a good night. The March is almost over, guys. It's almost a new month. So I hope you have a good night. Misfit, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lover, Demon Hunters. I love you and blessed be. And have a good night.
Thank you, brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you appreciate it. It's fun. I like doing these sciencey shows, man. I'm in my element. I love this stuff. Hope you learned something, man. I hope that you understood it. You know, that's always my worry. I ask my wife every single time I do one of these sciencey shows. I'll write it out on here. I'll show you this. Right. This is a draft of some of the sciencey parts that I write out when I do these shows, okay? And the reason I do it is not because I need notes, because I can talk about this stuff for hours. I've done it my whole life. The reason I write it all out is so that I can run it by my wife, because my wife is not a sciencey person, right? She's not dumb. She's a smart lady, but she's not a science person like I am, right? So I'll say, okay, this is what I want to say. I want to say something, and it's not really like a script. It's kind of more of an outline of different ideas so that I can see it and kind of go. So I'll say, this is what I want to say, and I'll kind of look at my outline and I'll do my spiel that I'm going to do on the show. Now, kind of, like I said, it's not a script, so it's not word for word, but it's basically what I'm going to say. And I'll start doing it in front of her and explaining it to her. And at several points during it, she'll say, okay, you lost me. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So then I know, okay, she don't know what I'm talking about there. So I need to not simplify it, because you need the proper language, but I need to explain what that means, because if she doesn't get it, there's gonna be a lot of other people that aren't gonna get it too, you know. So that's kind of my process. It's interesting, but I hope that you learned something. I hope you understood it. I hope you enjoyed the show. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. Staring, Tales, Paranormal News, all of that in the description box is a link to the merchandise store if you want merch. Thank you, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that stuff on YouTube when you watch the replay. Thank you guys on ParaX for all the love. We've been there like 7-8 years, going out to 48 different countries on radio. It's very awesome, and we appreciate all of you, and we love you guys. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.